Thanks. Coach, I wanted to ask, you guys still haven't given up a goal in the run of play, but would you say that this was a bad defensive game for y'all?
No, I wouldn't say it was a bad defensive game. I mean, you have to give credit to Atlanta. I mean, they had big possession numbers, in their previous 5 games. That's just the way they're set up to play. But yeah, you fall asleep for 1/2 a second, and that's where you get burned. We were actually just watching and digesting that play on the penalty, in the coach's office. There's some things that we can correct and fix. So yeah, Jada, I mean, the positive there is we haven't given up a goal from the run of play, but it sure puts a kind of a bad feeling in your mouth having to give up a goal after they had put so much work into the game.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, was there anything that Atlanta did that caught you a little bit by surprise? It sounded like Christian alluded to the formation maybe being a little different tweak than you were expecting.
Well, I don't know if it was different than what we showed them on the film. They had a couple of when Bella was coming inside and their winger went outside. I mean, there were some certain movements, Jeremiah, but the deal for me was I don't think we surprised them. I mean, we played true to who we were. We played some, good transition moments where, again, the final movement, the final pass just didn't allow us to get the second goal. So had we got the second goal, then, things would have been different.
Matt Pence.
Coach, we talked a little bit about Nuhu's role in the new formation. It seemed like he was a little bit more aggressive today, pushing forward and kind of being aggressive that way. How has he sort of continued to try to find that balance, and how did you kind of rate his overall performance today?
It was another good performance by Nuhu. I mean, look, the crowd gets excited when he, starts dribbling up the field. He's so powerful and strong that he's able to get past people and start some attacking movements for us. So, I think he's done extremely well in that position, Matt. And, we'll keep trying to improve his game. But I thought he was the one guy that was finding some passes into the pockets, at the feet of the forwards. So I was happy with his performance.
Nico Moreno.
Oh, hey there, Coach. Obviously, a frustrating game. Not only the 37% possession, but some uncharacteristic negligence with passing. I saw that your first sub was to bring in Danny Leyva for Will Bruin. What was your thought process to bring him on, and was that to maybe help more possession in the passing?
That's exactly why I put him on there, was to try and retain more possession. We were ahead 1-0. I wanted to close out the game with a little more possession. So that's the reason for the sub. And Danny did that again. He, connected a few passes for us, so it was good.
They really pinned you back today. Was that, I don't think they high pressed you, but what was it that maybe they did right to just pin you back a little bit, especially in the second half?
Well, I think the pin back was their possession. They held possession longer than us. And again, I go back, you can watch the film again. Even in the second half, we had very good moments of transition where, again, we just couldn't complete the final action. And, that's part of why we've been so good last year and parts of this year, was because our transition moments are good and we have the quality to finish those plays.
Alonso.
Thank you, Matt. How are you, Coach? Coach, I would like to ask you about Joe Paulo. It seems like he was more defensive than usual. Was this part of your tactic, or was it just an adjustment while the game was going?
You mean he was playing more defense, or just?
Yes, Coach. Sometimes he was in a line of 6 with the defenders.
Okay, good observation, Alonso. I'll look at that. We don't want him. We don't need him. We already have 5. So I'll take a look at that. But, JP does a great job for us in many different parts of the field. Some of his defending things that I like, or he likes to double team, he'll chase back, he can win some tackles. So I think defensively he's done well for us. And then, what he's there for is to try and help us dictate tempo of the game. And maybe from, all of the defending, we weren't able to, connect that first pass or the second pass to extend any of the possessions. And that's where, I think he and Kellen and Christian, needed to do a little bit better job.
Masvidal.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, without the benefit of full film breakdown of the game, going back to the final third, was it just because that players weren't running to create the space and the pass wasn't getting there? Can you give any assessment or further?
I think there was just some bad passes that they cut out, passes that we should have been cleaner on. I mean, in the first half, you could argue that, Will got his leg taken out from him, when he turned the corner. So that stopped a promising counter. There was just a lot of plays. We'd get down the right-hand side, or Christian would run in the prime assist zone, and we just didn't have any final product.
And is that just more, it's that kind of day, or systemically? I think you're saying it's just the kind of day.
It's always easier to destroy things than it is to create things. So you need to have, the right balance of making sure your defending is good and your attacking movements are good. But today we just, fell short in one of those categories.
Felipe.
Hey, Coach. The game was pretty physical, and seems to me that some of the key plays when you were counter-attacking, they were using the foul to stop the play. Is that something that has to do with the development of the game?
Well, that's what the referee just has to control. I mean, he has to do his job, and if they show the yellow because they deliberately stopped a counterattack, then that's the correct call. But, it happens all over the world. It happens in MLS. Some of our players did that today as well. I think that's just part of the game. Obviously, it makes for some frustrating moments for the fans and the players. But, I'm not going to sit here and say that the referee didn't do his job today. It's just one of those things.
Thank you.
John Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. You get fans not fully back in here this game, but you do get a full supporter section, all vaccinated in the stands. What kind of atmosphere how different is the atmosphere now that they're back, and how does that help? You think the players get up for these kind of games?
Well, the players appreciate the fans. I mean, that is our club. Our club is the relationship between the players and the fans. And so obviously when the players walk out and they see the south side of the stadium and everybody's cheering, boom, boom, clap, the flags, the banners, everything. I mean, that's why we have one of the best atmospheres in MLS. So credit to the fans, and, the players always get a little, boost of energy. I think this is the first time we didn't win since here at home since like September of last year. So our home record's been pretty good.
All right, guys, got time for 2 or 3 follow-ups. Jada Evans, go ahead. Still muted, Jada.
There we go. Got it. Thank you. Building on that, as far as the fans, and then getting the score from Raul, can you, just kind of elaborate a little bit more about those first, I guess 10 minutes, of the match?
Well, obviously, first 10 minutes of a match, we're at home. We want to dictate the tempo, up tempo. Raul's goal was a very good one. Normally his movement is, towards the back post, but as soon as the ball leaves JP's feet, he corrects himself and attacks the ball, and it's a perfect, technically good executed head ball that Guzan has no chance. The goalkeeper's coming in the opposite direction, and he heads it back into where he was coming from. So, obviously it was a great goal. Happy for Raul. And, there were parts of the game that I was pleased with.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, Brian, is having the fans back here the way it was, does that add to any disappointment? And then conversely, what lessons do you take from this game?
Well, look, Jeremiah, realistically, we've lost in this building with more fans in it. It is, certainly not our intention to, let anybody down, but it happens. It's pro sports. It is, getting closer back to normal. You can kind of sense it, feel it. There's a few more people in the building, so in that sense, the players don't want to disappoint. But the lesson learned is, it's similar to the question I asked the team earlier against LAFC. So we went down to LAFC and played okay, and I asked them, was that 2 points dropped or was it 1 point gained? And I think there was a little feeling that some guys thought it was a good point away from home against a good team, quality team. But I don't think there's anybody in that locker room over there that, can say that it was anything but 2 points dropped tonight.
All right, guys. Nico Moreno, why don't you close us out?
Thank you, Matt. Brian, my question was similar, but obviously this team is still at the top of the MLS, is still undefeated. But how helpful can it be? How can you use this throughout the week in a game where perhaps not everything went as great as it has over the season till now? This got to be helpful in terms of what you can do when things aren't going particularly the way you want them to go.
We're not going to change Nico, we're not going to change how we train, what we do. The trainings have been good. We'll face another unknown opponent, so that'll hopefully get the guys back concentrating. We message them about, the subtle pressure there is. The longer you go undefeated, the pressure starts to increase a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we've addressed all those issues. And I'm not going to change anything. We'll still train hard. We'll still be the, same 4-day lead into Austin. And we'll come out and just try and play better. We'll make sure that the players have the right film, the right tools to be successful in that game. And again, we'll just have to execute the game plan. That's the focus. It's still early in the year, but I am very proud of the fact that we're still undefeated after 7 games. It's just another record to go into the Sounders, in the Sounders books. It's a great accomplishment going 5-0-2 over 7 games with the schedule that we've had.